Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. I got a treat for you. It looks like showcase matches for Street Fighter 6 is indeed back on the menu with some of the recently showcased characters like Zangief. So here, Zangief versus Marisa, obviously enough, and there is a lot, and I mean a lot of goodies in this match. A lot to learn for both characters. I know we've seen more of Marisa than Zangief, sure, but even then we're still learning a lot for her, and also some things have changed for her from older builds, as we'll get into. So that said, let's rewind the video and break down everything because there's so much good stuff. So we start our trailer off here with the intros, and this is basically King Kong versus Godzilla. These are your two biggest characters going at it in Street Fighter 6. So out of the gate, let's start with something really fun. Zangief has a new move. I don't know if this is a normal or a special, but regardless, Zangief now has the spinning heel kick. Now, as we've gone over in other breakdowns of Zangief footage, Zangief, he's always been a quote-unquote wrestler, but now he's actually about wrestling. He uses a lot more actual wrestling techniques, and this is one of them. So as far as wrestlers that use the spinning heel kick, people like D'Lo Brown, Owen Hart, even someone roughly Zangief's size, Viscera, was also famous for using the move. So more wrestling techniques for Zangief. I'm very happy about that. Following from here, we see Marisa going for her special move, Punch, and we'll see more of that in a moment too. But long range, very long range, a lot of pushback on block, so it looks like a very spammable tool in neutral, which is great for details we'll go into in a moment. Because, well, this exact scenario. So in case you're unaware, Marisa can charge many of her moves, both special moves and normals, to get a better effect, and this particular move destroys armor. So Zangief is going for an armored move, and she blows right through it for free. And in the case of, say, moves with multiple hits of armor, like the Universal Drive Impact, it doesn't matter. The armor break, if it had one hit armor, it had a million hits armor, it does not matter. It just automatically crushes the move. So against an opponent with armored properties, Zangief is one armor outside of Drive Impact is actually very rare so far in the game. And Marisa is purpose made to destroy armor wherever she sees it. You'll see more armor breaking later in the video as well. Do not spam armor against Marisa. Although, that said, if you're playing a character with armor, you're not playing them to not use the armor, right? So spam armor against everyone you ever find. That is the armored player's way. So as you can see here, it looks like Zangief's Stand Heavy Punch returns with a bit of a charge. And yes, it is indeed armored on a normal. No special, no meter burn, no nothing like that. Just armor as you get it. And it does knock down, as you can see here. And that knockdown leads to the story of this match, if anything. So we see a drive rush out of Zangief. We saw a small hint of it before in the other trailer, but it was like barely used and it was point blank, so not much of a story to tell. Here, well, geez Louise, it actually goes pretty friggin' far. So before, I assumed from the Manon footage we saw earlier, she had a fairly poor drive rush. So I assumed all the grapplers would have bad drive rushes, right? Because that makes some modicum of balance sense. But here, no man, Zangief can clear some real estate here with the drive rush. So, and you're going to see this a lot in this trailer. There's a lot of drive rushes. If you're a character without any form of projectile, Zangief's going to be drive rushing like crazy on you to make up the screen and get in. I speculated before in older videos if he was kind of character that's just going to drive rush every time he gets a knockdown. And you know what? Maybe, just maybe, kind of looks like. Also, drive rush being green and all. I'm not going to be the first one to tell this joke, but screw it. I heard y'all were looking for Zangief's green hand. Hey, there it is. I found it. So obviously not the traditional green hand by any stretch, but you know what? Off a drive rush, looks to have very respectable range, will lead to effectively guaranteed plus frames. You're probably going to use it, so this is your green hand. There you go. It's just a normal, but trust me, it'll lead to good stuff you'll see later in this clip. Here, Marisa gets hit by effectively nothing, a little bit of flitting around, a little bit of scrambling. We get a showcase of more of Marisa's target combos, her multi-hitting strings, and that certainly, to me, looks like a true low. Like, you have to block that crouching. Also, no knockback. She's just directly on top of you after the knockdown, so that looks pretty handy. And speaking of pretty handy, Hey, y'all like your command grabs. If you're on this channel, I know you do. So why not a proper spinning pile driver? Also, keep in mind here, as a punish counter, look at Marisa's drive gauge here. She'll take a full drive gauge of damage because of the command grab being a punish counter. And now here. So, 1, pile driver, hard knockdown, so he can't back roll it. 2, going for the drive rush after the fact, going for the chop. Marisa is attempting to jump out at this point, as you can see here, and she just barely gets tagged. So that will be the game plan. You get your pile driver, drive rush after the fact, and go from there. Try to pressure or threaten more grabs. After that knockdown, another drive rush, and the Zangief bad feels machine is in place firmly. So the old knee, you whiff it on purpose, so you're exactly in command grab range, and then, well, boy howdy, we just go from there, don't we? So pay in mind the damage you're about to see, because, well, it's pretty big. Only grab I think did more damage than this, that's not a super, is Manon's level 5 grab. And she has to build up to that over the course of the entire game. She can't exactly do it on demand like Zangief can. So after this, poorly timed drive rush from Zangief, to say the least, he gets booted in the stomach, and a bit of flitting around till we both get the bright idea, hey, wait a second, I could drive rush too, let's do it at the same time. Now here's a real beauty, and I'm not just talking about Marisa caving in the back of Zangief's skull, which I do love, don't get me wrong, right? But this is proof positive of things are changing from build to build to build, because this is actually faster than it was the last time you saw it. From older footage from older builds that we've compiled and made videos of before on the channel, the guard stance into her command grab from start to finish, so stance, then grab, then connect, was 15 frames all in all. Now, in this build, from start to grab, it is now 13 frames, so 2 frames faster. So the move has been buffed since the last time we've seen it. Now, granted, it's not as good as, say, spinning pile driver, because spinning pile driver is 5 frames, not 13. But still, as far as it goes, 13 frames, that is unreactable. You can't just see it and then jump out. You have to predict just like every other command grab. So Marisa's grab is a good supplement to her offense. But it's not going to be the offense in and of itself. So that said, now, just a quick hit here. We close out the round, get a good look at Marisa's victory pose. And she's really happy to win, as you can see here. You know what? Good for her. Good for her. Now, going into the next round, who's ready for some absolutely bonkers stuff you don't see in Street Fighter? Because Zangief is ready to provide with this nonsense. Am I playing Street Fighter or am I playing King of Fighters 2002 and I just hit my counter wire? This is silly. So as far as I can tell, this can only just be like a regular old jump heavy kick. The one thing I will say, this does look a bit like Zangief is charging the kick before it connects. Like he's holding kick or something. Now, normally that would be Marisa's bag, but we do know we saw the armored stand heavy punch earlier, and that is a chargeable move normally anyways. So it would stand the reason Zangief would be another character that could charge his normals, especially his heavies. I'm assuming, sure, yes, but you know, you can't just do jump heavy kick and the other person flies across the screen. That ain't Street Fighter normally, right? So something else is obviously very certainly at play. And they do wall splat, so while mid-screen doesn't really look like he can do much with it, in the corner, almost assuredly he could get a follow-up. And remember the rule we've learned for Zangief, every knockdown we go for a drive rush, and now the spinning heel kick makes its return, and it makes a pretty big one, because the punish counter version of the move can juggle. And we can see here that little thrust peak follow-up here, very reminiscent of style of like Kane or Gold Dust. So even more wrestling for you. And also, well, the spinning heel kick itself. The one thing to really notice, besides the juggle, which is really, really good, is the fact it crushes lows. Marisa clearly going for a low attack that Zangief just completely clears over. So if you're anticipating someone spamming low moves, this is a really strong option because it's a punish counter juggle starter. So Zangief has options to fish for and go for now besides just always going for grab, grab, grab. Now, of course, I say that, but if you don't know how grappler brain works. So drive rush, move, that's plus on block. Oh, I better not hit anything because the move's plus on block. Whoops, it's grab time. And once again, just Look at this damage. That's downright rude. And once again, drive rush after the fact, go for attacks, but this time not so much. So here we see Marisa go for the EX Superman punch, and well, a few things happen here. Not the least of which one, it's armored. So she uses that to defend herself as she's attacking. And two, this is another armor breaking move. After the jab, Gief begins to go for a drive impact, 2 hits of armor, but it doesn't matter how many hits of armor you have against Marisa because it's an armor break. Therefore, it just plows through the move pretty as you please. So Marisa has an armored move that beats armored moves. Basically, she's the queen of this kind of stuff. And once again here, her grab game, maybe not as good as Zangief's, but it's still very much there. So if you blink, you will get grabbed. Now after this is an eye-opener because we see something all new from Marisa, something we've never seen before. So grab stance into this low kick. And we've never seen this specific move before. So from the guard stance, we've had the grab. We've had a little bit of a headbutt, a little bit of a head jab, and a big double-fisted swinging, I'm assuming, overhead punch. And so that means if that is an overhead now, the stance has an overhead, and it has a low, and it has a grab. So for what is nominally a defensive stance, because it does give her armor, right? Because between an overhead, a low, and a grab, you're gonna get hit by something. It's like impossible not to. Although in this scenario here, Zangief correctly blocks low, and there's a price for power because this move is definitely punishable. Maybe not the biggest punish in the world, but you're taking your licks on that. Also here, so the counter hit stand heavy punch has enough frame advantage to link into a jab. So that could lead to some stuff down the road. Although for this round, this is Zangief's round here, ends up with a drop kick and more posing. Zangief, ever the show off here, raising up his muscles and playing to the crowd. Now, entering our final round, it's the shortest of the rounds, but it's also certainly the most flashy because we're going to see some level 3 super moves here. So remember, after every knockdown for Zangief, do a drive rush, hit your normal, your plus on block, then you have to immediately guess strike or throw. And here, you're passive too long, you only had a frame to guess, and it's super throw time with the level 3 super, and, well, you know how it's going to go when Zangief hits you with his biggest possible move, right? Now, more than a few times in this video, I've said, hey, look at the damage. But no, really. Hey, look at the damage. This isn't even the buffed up critical art version of the move or nothing. This is like almost 50%, if not more, maybe? It's pretty wild. Gief is gonna have the damage if nothing else in this game. Now, here's something interesting and sort of contradictory to what we saw earlier. So Marisa's going for the EX Superman punch again, and Zangief goes for a drive impact, but this time he beats her clean. The armor doesn't activate. So this is a question of, is the armor only around for a few frames, or does it start later in the move? We're gonna have to wait and see, I guess, but regardless, he beats her clean and then it goes into a wall splat. Thrust peek into EX Lariat barely does any damage, so I'm guessing all the damage of the EX Lariat's on the second hit, not the first. From here, going into a regular throw, not a command grab, proper German suplex, good bridge, I like it. And now it's desperation mode time for Marisa, so crouch, medium punch, I'm assuming, punch special, and now it's time for our critical art version of our level 3, our first actual look at this. So Zangief looking terrified, as well he should, Marisa sending him to the wall, and now, well geez, if Zangief wasn't as big as he was, this is almost like a Mortal Kombat fatality. Rubs her fist in his face, and you can see here a nice little heart. So when Marisa's doing this move, she says, "Take my love," cranks you in the face, and then when going to finish you off, she says, "Take all of it." And well, given the heart, I guess Zangief is taking all of her love. Who says fighting games aren't wholesome? And now to end the match, and proving this stuff is more scripted than wrestling is, we end with Zangief's kick counter. So we made a video some days ago about this move. The kick counter is widely considered singles worst move in Street Fighter V, and now it catches all grounded kicks regardless of the angle, so it's going to be a lot more useful in a lot more matchups. And that's good enough for the win, and in our little exhibition, Zangief is our winner. So all in all, very good stuff. We learned more about Marisa, and now we have a real good idea of what Zangief's about. And Zangief looks terrifying, considering how much he wants to drive rush all the time. He's like running across the stage almost as much as like El Fuerte would. I never pegged Zangief of all characters to be the guy who's going to be running around the stage the most, but that looks like it's a very viable part of his game plan. Every time you get any kind of knockdown, you drive rush forward and pressure, pressure, pressure. Things like his spinning wheel kick also being low crush okay, going over lows and punish counter into juggle, that's really, really good. His damage seems much higher than average across the board for a lot of things. Obviously, in neutral, overall slow, sure, but he's got a lot of the classic tools, stand heavy punches armored. Zangief looks like a very complete character. He definitely looks like he benefits from the drive system, because without that drive rush, something he didn't have in Street Fighter V, he would not be as impressive as he is here. So maybe, just maybe, the end of low tier Zangief, and he can be a credible threat again in Street Fighter 6. Now, on other notes, if this is anything like last time, then expect a matchup of Lily versus Cammy probably very soon, in much the same manner that you're viewing this. So if that does happen, don't worry, especially when it comes to Lily, you'll find the best breakdowns in the world on this channel. Now that said, to fly a flag, I've been flying a bit on Twitter and now today on YouTube. I made the whole Honda video earlier today on YouTube, basically because part of the reason is there's no Honda footage. So I would love it if Cammy or Lily could fight Honda so we can actually see some real Honda gameplay just at all in Street Fighter 6. He's absolutely the least showcased character of the entire cast right now. I don't know why it's such an issue to get one of the original 8 World Warriors showcased in gameplay, especially because he was announced so long ago, but well, that's where we are right now. That said though, whatever gameplay comes our way, regardless of what characters are in it, make sure to keep checking the channel. I'll do my best to break down everything for you guys. And that all said, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.